Hi guys, it's Dr. Muhammad Usman and I am back with another video, and today the topic of this video is creating SIPOC map diagram, and we will talk about the SIPOC tool in detail, and I will also tell you about the details of the steps, the procedures, the key elements, and also the purpose, materials, and everything about the SIPOC diagram. So you will be able to develop this diagram or map at your end. So starting from the very basics of SIPOC, first we should be knowing what is meant by SIPOC. So basically, if I define each of this word, it is supplier, input, process, output, customer, and it is basically called a map which takes input from the supplier and then gives the output to the customer. And what are the suppliers? As we know that suppliers can be internal and external to our process. It can be any distributor, any person which has role in our business and in our business processes. So if you know about the voice of customer, so you will have an idea that a supplier should provide the inputs for time, cost, and defect. So a supplier can be your overall business or a business owner or a business process which can help you to give the inputs to this process. Then using the information from the clients, customer, materials, surveys, information, you will use those inputs in this SIPOC map. You will be using them to find out which things are related to your supplier side, and then you will put those things in form of a process. Process will be a overall one block process which will be in between the supplier inputs and output customer model, which we will see in later diagram. So what will be the process doing? Process will be representing the overall methodology to take the inputs and then give you the output for the customers. The process can be your overall business processes or a specific product manufacturing processes or a specific methodology or a specific process improvement thing. So then we come for the outputs. The outputs are both for internal and external customer. The internal customer, as we know, that are the employees of your organization, your management, your staff, your faculty. So this person will also take input from this output, and they will use it for the improvement of your process. Then at the end we have the customer. The customers are both internal and external to the process. So it will include also both internal your customers, which are your employees, management and staff, and then at the end your customer, which are the client and which will buy your product. So a SIPOC map can be used both for manufacturing and other than for the improvement of your processes. And a high SIPOC map level will help you visualize the voice of customer. As I told, voice of customer is anything which should be given by customer to you. It can be feedback, complaints, compliments, surveys, interviews, and anything that can help you to make your process good or improve your processes. So moving on to the purpose of SIPOC diagram, this tool has many different purposes, but some of them are over here. One of them is that it will help you to analyze the relevant processes, relevant elements related to your process. So if you are making up a process of improving a cost management model or a car delivery model, so it will help you to identify the relevant element. Because it is a detailed tool, so it will help you to list down all those elements, and that will also further help you to know each of that element which is related to the process. So it will help you to reduce the time and cost in the later sense. And then it will also help you to define complex projects. Similarly, if you have a little tool like flowchart diagram, it will not be able to help you define complex projects. So SIPOC diagram will help you to manage and define the complex projects. And then other than that, it will have additional details that we will see later on what additional details it will provide that will improve your process or your product. Then it will also provide you details about input of your processes. Input of processes are important, like the inputs, as we see before, the inputs will be from the supplier. So it will take input from the suppliers and it will map it to your process if they are related. If it is unrelated, then you will not add those processes or inputs to your SIPOC diagram. Then it will also provide the specification of your inputs. So it is becoming a little bit detailed. As you can see, we have specification of inputs, then we have the proper map elements of those inputs, and then we have the proper map processes. Then an important part of CIPOC diagram is that it will help you to find the true customers of your process. True customers are very important, as we have seen that if you have the true owner of the process, then you can easily improve that process. So it will also help you to find out that. Then at last, in the end, it will help you to identify the requirement of the customer. We have seen that requirements can be ambiguous, requirement can be specific. So it will help you to convert those ambiguous requirement into specific requirement, but in a greater detail in this CIPOC diagram or tool. So before we start, we have some kind of material required. If you are able to implement this in your organization, or if you want to implement it in your organization, then what you need, basically you will need a whiteboard. I will suggest that, and you should have CIPOC overview handout given to all the team members, so that all have idea of the processes of this CIPOC map. Then you should have idea about the DMAC process methodology of Six Sigma, and you should be knowing its relevant elements. And then you should have well-defined processes. If you will not have well-defined processes, then you need to define your processes. Then you will go on to the CIPOC diagram to define them in detail. It is not necessary that you have not defined processes at this moment. I will suggest that you have somehow defined your processes so that you can work on this diagram to create it. Other than that, for the whiteboard, you can write it physically by hand, or I will suggest there are posted little stickers you can use, and you can give it to all the team members. So these are the basic materials. And what other things we need before the starting the CIPOC implementation, or starting the creation of the CIPOC diagram? It is like you should have the knowledge of processes of your organization. You should know the purpose, as I have defined in the start. The purpose of CIPOC is the similar, and you should have tools and templates. If you have a CIPOC tool which is easily available in Excel form, and it is also available in form of different software, you can use it. Other than that, PowerPoint has very greater amount of CIPOC type of designs which you can use for creation of this diagram. So the key elements of this CIPOC diagrams will be process owner, and you should be knowing about the process name. Then you should know that the process start and process end. So previously, as I have told you, you should know about your process, purpose and tools. So if you know that, then you can list down these key elements. If you know your process, then you can tell its owner, which is the true customer of that process. Then the name of the process, you can define it according to that process type. Then the start and end. So it is a kind of flow chart. If you have already flow charts built up at your organization, then you can easily use them to define the CIPOC diagram and list down these key elements. Then other than that, you have any constraints or any known assumptions to your process or any hurdles, you can also list it down. You can also write down the operational definitions of key processes or any related elements. And then feedback loops, that how your customer and how your supplier will communicate with you. Mainly it is by email or complaints or feedback, or by call, or other things as you have noted down or as you have in your organization. Then you should know about the supplier input requirements, process output requirements, customer and critical to quality requirements. So basically when you come up to this level of CIPOC diagram, you must have worked on defining the voice of the customer, critical to quality requirement, key process output variables and key process input variables. Then you can easily create this CIPOC diagram. If you want to directly create it, then I have this methodology that you have to list down all these elements to start creation of the CIPOC diagram. So how the CIPOC map or diagram looks like? Basically it will be like this one as I have in this diagram. It will have a supplier, it will have a input, processes in the middle as you can see. There are outputs and then customers. So basically when you go on the upstream of the process and you will find out the outputs or inputs which are affecting your process. Basically these are the key process input variables and then key process output variable. So key process input variables will affect the key process output variables. So at this moment on SI input 1, you will collect the requirements according to the required process, and you will measure that supplier process that it is able to provide the key elements that are required for this process to run, and you will make like a flow chart. Then other than that, you will analyze the customer side and the outputs which are related to your customer and key process output variable, that what output should be generated from this process. So it will also be measured. So basically you can use the leading measures instead of lagging measures. If lagging, then you can close or reduce the amount of lag. So basically the concept is over here is that you should use the actual current measures for this SIPOC diagram rather than which are negative or which are lagging according to your process. So what this SIPOC map will provide you, like it will start from the supplier. Then using this process block in the middle, you will collect the requirement for the inputs and then you will measure them. Then similarly you will move over the output block and you will gather the requirement by the customer as an output this process, and you will also measure that. And using that process you will create a flow chart that will provide you the start to end of that process. So if you have flow charts already built up over here, then you can use these flow charts in this process and you can easily create that SIPOC diagram. So I will strongly suggest that if you have flow charts available in your organization or some kind of little process map, then you should use it as an input to this process, and it will easily help you define the suppliers end and the customer end. I will also try to make up a video on creating a simple process map and flow chart, so you will be easily to use it into the SIPOC map. So what these elements represent and what are the process mapping symbols in the SIPOC diagram. Number one, this one is the start or stop. It is basically similar like the flow chart one. This diamond sign will be the decision, this scale sign will be the process step, and the arrow will be the direction. So similarly, if you have an idea of the flow chart, it is similar to that. So you should be knowing we have used the same in the SIPOC diagram, and when you are making up the process map, you can use these symbols as a part of that process mapping or as an initial input to the SIPOC. So this was the general overview of the process mapping symbols, and I will move forward with the basic steps for creation of the SIPOC process mapping. So at this moment, I think so you should have listed down your key elements as I have defined in the start, and using those key elements, you should have your process name, your process owner, process end, and process out. So you will begin by defining the process which have to be reviewed. So if you have already named it, then you just have to list down that process over here. And if you have already listed down the start and end of that process, then you can easily use it. So that is why I have listed down those key element in the start, so you can use them in the start, and it will help you to create the SIPOC process easily. So over here we have suppliers and inputs, and there is the start process. This start process will be consisting of brainstorming the inputs and then the output for the customer who receive them. Then it will also identify the customer requirement for each output, and then it will also brainstorm the inputs and suppliers who provide them. So what you will be doing over here, like you will brainstorm for the inputs and you will use those postcards and you will put it on the supplier side, and then you will put some cards on the customer side. Like on this side, this will be my right side, it will be like your customer requirements will be some kind of postcard, like customer will tell that I need that air conditioner in 3 days, I need it fast and cool, I need it in less cost, I need it of a smaller size. So these will be the customer requirements. Using them, you will generate this outputs and map according to the supplier inputs that what that process will be. And in between, if you can see, you have a process. These process cards will be those which are your organizational processes, which will be used to create those organizational processes. So basically what you are doing, you are just listing down them same again like the voice of customer, and you are brainstorming the inputs and output ideas. I will suggest that it is a team activity, and if you have team members already on it, then you can easily define the SIPOC process or maps. So moving on to the further step, if you have completed these steps, you will be moving on brainstorming further for the process steps. So as I told you, the process is in the middle. So you will also brainstorm for the process, and you will write one step per postcard. As I told you that use postcard, it will be very beneficial. You will use one step by step one postcard for each of the process. Then all steps should begin with a verb, and you should not discuss the process steps in detail. At this moment we are just getting the idea of what process will be able to take these inputs and give you the customer related output. So you in this one, in SIPOC diagram, basically you are creating this process which will be able to link your suppliers and your customers. It will also help you to minimize the gap between the supplier and customer. So you should have to know your process better than to able to generate the desired product or according to the customer requirement. And at this moment you should not try to establish the order of the steps here. You should not organize at this moment. You should just place it, and you should be knowing that which process or what steps should be involved at this moment. So if I move back, what you have to do, you have supplier input cards, you have customer requirements cards, and you have the process cards. So what you will do, you will organize them later on over here, and then here, and then in the middle. And what you will do, you will get to generate this kind of sequence. So when you will organize them, you will discuss the steps in detail to clarify the order, and then what the step output is. So like this, I will start using those process symbol. I have a start, then I have a action step, then I will have a check step, then I will have a decision, and then I will stop of this process. And if there is another action step, it will move into the yes or no step. So basically you will draw the line, the arrow indicator which will indicate the flow, and then you will indicate the decision points with the help of label and path for each. So I will try to give you an example over here of this flow. So you will be having this kind of thing. As you can see over here, we have supplier inputs, then we have the process. So in the middle you will define a flow chart like this one over here: place, schedule or release, commercial, promo. We have used diamond, then we have used the start, output, and similarly, like if it is a commercial process, you will go on another output, then we have a diamond, and then we have the end process. So basically when you are using this one, you will this flow chart, it will basically look like this one in your actual SIPOC diagram which you will be making. And other than, if I move to the further to the SIPOC diagram, if I have another concept that I can define supply separately, then there are inputs, then these are the processes and outputs, and then customer. And similarly, when you will be using these one, you will be generating the same flow chart like this one for the SIPOC diagram or at the end of the SIPOC map. So flow chart will be an important part of your SIPOC diagram. And further moving, this example is about of a sales department, and it is telling you about orders of a system. So you can review it in detail, and you can try yourself for generating a SIPOC map for it or a flow chart. I will be happy to see it, and you can send it to me too, so I can review it. Further, I will move with the at the end points of the SIPOC diagram. You should always check your work before your SIPOC is final. Always review all that key components are completed, review the key to success, and ask the team members to check the whole SIPOC project. Then determine the next action and plan, and conduct another group session. So you should be knowing better the SIPOC details, or if you want to review it, or if you want to change it. And the keys to successful SIPOC are very important. You should clearly, as I told in the start, the key elements are very important, and those are the keys to a successful SIPOC. You should clearly identify start of your process, end of your process, All assumptions should be visible. You can document operational definitions of key terms. Don't forget to identify your information and communication loops and feedback mechanism. Basically, if you have the voice of customer ready at your hand, then you will be easily to make this SIPOC. So I will strongly suggest that work on the voice of customer, and you can also listen to my video in which I have worked on the voice of customer, and I have worked to generate the voice of customer, different elements and different variables. Then define, discuss, decide and document and repeat. That I will always say. So you should be listing down all of these elements importantly for your SIPOC diagram. And then I will also tell you about elements of a good process. So for elements of a good process, as I have told you, for SIPOC diagram is the first one, second one is the process flow maps, and these are also important for your SIPOC diagram. Then you should conduct the gap analysis, and you should have that. Without that, you should not be able to improve your process. So conduct the gap analysis. Then you can also use the RACI chart, then you can also the service agreement, other policies, process performance measures and feedback from the customer. So a good process is the one which takes feedback from the customer and improves over the time. If process stays at a single point for a long time, it means then your process is not improving, your business is not improving. And I will also say that there is no process in this world which is not which we cannot improve. There is always a gap for improvement. We just need to analyze it and we just need to implement it. And at the end, I have an example of SIPOC, proper SIPOC diagram, and it is it is just in form of from the Excel template. So there are basically many Excel templates available for generating your SIPOC diagram, and one of them is over here, and I have taken input from it. So in this you can see that the suppliers are the employee contractors, and the input is employee setup data, contractor setup data. The process is to set up the resources, output is the employee record, and customer is the project manager and the team member. Similarly, it is internal to the organization, and you can create it also for external to the organization. So I hope so you have understood the SIPOC diagram. At this moment I have tried to sum it up in less time to make it understandable to you. And if you like my video, please do subscribe to my channel for updates, and you can also contact us for any kind of video to be translated and to be made for you, and it will be free. We will not charge you anything. Thank you.